Welcome to Podcasting for Spiritual Women. This is Kim Parkinson. And today I just wanted to talk about something that has been coming up in conversation with me. Many women have been asking me for strategies to grow their podcast. But what if the real key to being heard isn't just another strategy that we can talk about, but it's your nervous system? What if the reason that you're not showing up, not promoting your episodes, or you're feeling inconsistent isn't because you're lazy or unmotivated? It's because it's your body and you don't feel safe. My guest today is Loren Cellentani, and she believes your body is your strategy. Loren is a sacred visibility mentor, embodiment guide, and host of the top two global podcast, The Sovereign Self Show. She helps spiritual entrepreneurs stop performing success and start embodying it, turning fear, freeze, and self-doubt into magnetic visibility and authentic leadership. Through her work in somatic wisdom, storytelling, and emotional alchemy, Loren guides women to reclaim their voice, their body, and their brilliance so they can lead with purpose, pleasure, and prosperity. We're diving into what it really means to lead from your body instead of your performance and how that shift can help your show for your podcast, your business, your confidence, your clarity, and your flow. So welcome, Loren. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Oh my gosh.
I gave a brief overview of your bio, but is there something that I missed that you'd love to add to that?
No, I would say this is a perfect collaboration here, divinely guided co-creation here. I think everybody listening, if you feel like your body's in the way or you feel like you're self-sabotaging or you're scared to show up, then this is definitely the show for you.
Ah, thank you so much. That's so sweet of you. So I talk a lot about using your voice as your pathway to growth. And it's not just business growth, right? It's personal and spiritual growth. And I know that what you share really aligns with that. And I actually wrote down your tagline. Let me see if I can find it here. Your body is not in the way, it's leading the way. And I love that. Can you kind of expand a little bit on that? Because I feel like that's so true.
Yes, yes, yes. And I would say we all are here wanting to share our hearts because of this learned wisdom, this lived wisdom, our own experience, what we call quote unquote spiritual awakening. And for so many, I would say light workers, empaths, old souls, everybody listening pretty much,
Yeah.
we got to a point where we felt like our bodies were in the way because we're very sensitive beings. Sometimes that manifests, yes, emotionally, energetically, but physically. And for me, the large part of my awakening really came through physical healing. Panic attacks, lifelong digestive issues, migraines, yes, but a few times where my body was really screaming at me to get out of situations in a life that was not for me. Anybody who's been in a not healthy relationship can probably relate. Your body starts to break down. And that was really the beginning of my journey. I was health coaching at the time and hadn't started my podcast yet. And after I'd left that relationship, really deep energetic healing work with my body. And it came to me in a bath, as things do. Your body's not in the way, she's leading the way. And that's been my mantra, my mission as my business evolved, as my mission has evolved. It's really just got clarified more and more. And the reason why I still hold on to that now, even though I still teach about the body, but I'm not a health coach anymore, is really because I could tell you all the things, how to start a podcast, Kim can too. All the step 1, 2, 3, here's a template, post it. But if your energy, your thoughts, your body aren't on board, if there's some resistance there, it's not going to manifest in the way you think it's going to. So instead of doing all the 3D work and putting it all in and then getting frustrated and ghosting your podcast or your creation, taking a minute to listen to your body, because that's what I actually teach is okay, yeah, the anxiety might be popping up. Yes, you might have some type of chronic illness or dis-ease in your body, but that's actually preparing you for that next level of yourself, that next level of your visibility of sharing your message with the world. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. And that can translate into visibility, into podcasting so easily. And it takes practice. It takes time to be able to learn and have that conversation with your body, and not push to the point of burnout and trying to prove. That's a big one, like girl boss wound or initiation wound that I call. It's like, okay, we finally get the thing, what to do, we want to do. And then we push, 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 and we crash out all over again. So it's tuning into your body, listening, honoring it as we continually to show up. It doesn't mean that we got to give up on our dreams. It means that this is preparing you for that deeper layer of who you really are.
Yeah, I actually have had a coach before, and she is a firm believer that bodies build businesses, which is very
Yes.
similar to what you're saying too. So, when you felt that that wasn't flowing for you, how did you manage to turn that around for yourself so that your body was, wasn't the one that was holding you back any longer, that you were allowing that flow to come through? Was it journaling, meditation, something else? What was that? What was that turning point for you, for those that might be stuck?
I think there's so many turning points, but I think the biggest shift is there's never going to be a point where you're like everything is completely perfect and happy and rainbows and butterflies. You're going to have triggers. You're going to have anxiety. You're going to have these physical symptoms that come up because that's actually showing you that you're growing. So
Mhm.
I think that actually, and that's what I remind myself of it right now. I'm going through a lot of change, launching something in my business, moving around the country. And the past few days, that's what I've been reminding myself of. Okay, Loren, having those conversations, doing the practices that work for you, but realizing that, yeah, this is a sign that you are showing up differently. You are changing. And that old part of you, it wants to kind of hold on a little bit, but it's really reparenting that part of ourselves, right? Slowing down, having grace, but still showing up as the person you want to be. And a great example of this is when I started my podcast, 2017, people didn't even know what Zoom was really back then.
Sure.
We had to really understand what's going on when you're doing podcasts, where I'm begging people, my friends, to come on. Can I interview you? And I started getting actual guests that weren't my friends or family. And at that point I felt really excited and comfortable with it. But as soon as these real guests, quote unquote, came on the show, I felt that anxiety rise to the point where I had to cancel an interview because I was just so nervous before.
Mhm.
And I remember wanting to really judge myself for that. And I had to take a step back and just have that conversation. It's really about the inner work of what's coming up. How do you feel? And for me, that's always through the body. So yes, journaling, yes, somatic practices, but it's having a conversation. Where do I actually feel this anxiety in my body? Take the story out of it. Take the he, she said, did this out of it. Go back to the emotion. Go back to where you feel it and learn how to work with that energy. Because we all are master alchemists. We can transmute any energy, and your emotions are literally energy in motion. So if we take out the stories, go back to feeling, that's when we can actually naturally allow that energy to rise and shift. But then naturally, you start telling a better story to yourself. And that's what I love helping women with. And that's what's helped me so much in my journey is it's all about the story you tell. As
Mhm.
podcasters, it's
Yep.
about the story you tell and you create and share with the world, but it starts with you. It starts with the story you tell yourself because nobody else is listening but you to that story.
Yeah. It's so true. As far as we all have wisdom, we all have journeys that we have had in our lives. And it's when we release those stories to the world and we open up, that's when you have that real, true saving point in your life. You're like, I've shared this. Somebody has grown from it, or you've grown from it, even maybe not even somebody else, but you have. And that just makes it comforting, right? That's
Yeah.
part of that growth process that you're talking about there. It really sometimes it's uncomfortable, but growth is uncomfortable, right? I love that you mentioned the burying the girl boss. And I feel like that is something that so many women really believe in, right? They really are like, I'm gonna retire my husband. I'm gonna retire my boyfriend. Listen, I am not retiring my husband. I want him out of the house until he's ready. So when you think of that girl boss mentality, what would you say to somebody that has that mentality, and how can they flip that around? Because not being the girl boss is okay. It's you don't have to
Hmm.
be the girl boss. So what would you say to somebody about that old hustle energy that they might have?
Yeah, I see it. I got to raise my hand here. I've lived it. I
Yeah.
got to check myself for it. And I see so many, I would say mostly millennial women who grew up post feminism, are very career driven, now business driven, and they have the spiritual type of awakening, but we're still operating in that old paradigm of we got to like put on our big girl pants, suck it up, and just do more, 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 more. And it really stems, at least for me, and I see this through line through a lot of women, through lack of trying to prove that we can be the energy coach or that we can be a healer or the channeler or the podcaster. Instead, starting with the body, what if you approached your work before you jumped into to-do list, before you turned on your notifications or checked your email or looked at Instagram? What if we took a second back and really tuned into how we felt? And when I
Mhm.
say that, you learn to start practicing what that feels like to be visible, to feel that success, that confidence, that clarity, that consistency in your body. Because when we can start practicing that without the manifestations needed on the outside, not only one, are we going to feel way better doing it,
Yeah.
we're going to get out ahead of it, we're going to build that positive momentum, but you're going to see things at a different perspective, vibrationally speaking. You are more focused on the energy of the solution than you would be trying to fix a problem, of trying to make a viral post or trying to write the right copy
Yeah.
instead of knowing who you are, feeling great about it, and coming at it from this creation energy, this artist. That's that divine feminine coming into play. We're naturally artists and we live in this energy of pleasure. So
Mhm.
it doesn't mean you're not going to show up, doesn't mean you're not going to work hard, but you're taking a second to do that energetic inventory, to tune to your body, to your energy, everything we've talked about here, and you're approaching it from wholeness,
Mhm.
from worthiness. And yes, of course, like we said in the last question, things are going to happen. You're going to be triggered. But the more that we practice this, the more the normal is going to be. So you know when you're a little bit off, you're out of alignment. And it's not about perfection. It's not about, always being super aligned, but it's about making that your general intention and knowing that you are that worthy being and you have nothing you need to prove. And for me, this is a huge shift from the girl boss energy is people don't actually need your help. That
Mm.
really kind of hit my ego when I heard that. I remember listening to an Abraham Hicks YouTube video and she said that. And I was like, whoa, whoa, wait. Like, I'm here to like save the world. Like, I want to help people. I know I'm here like this light worker. So it took a little bit, me back a little bit. And now I come back to that. And now it's like a sense of reassurance for me. It's like, I don't need to save anybody. Everybody can save themselves.
True.
I'm
Yeah.
here as that living embodiment of what that potential or that reality might look like for somebody, and I can guide them through it, but it's 100% up to them. And they're here on their journey.
Yeah, you're pulling in your creative archetype, your wild woman archetype, and you're spinning that around, and you're allowing other people to see that. I can feel that energy from you, and I can see the same thing. As a Gen X, I often do feel like I have to fix everyone, right? But it's you just can't. You have to be self-aware and allow them that journey too, because that's really what it is, right? You don't want to take away their journey. They need that journey. And if you told them how to do it, then they would just be walking in your journey, not their own. You currently have a podcast, and your latest series is the Portal series. And I've been eating it up. I've been loving it. So I think one of the things that you mentioned there is that real visibility is hard. And if you were to mention to people about visibility, most of my clients, most of my listeners are priestesses, light healers, as you know, as you are. And I know that we love to be visible, but we love to be visible in a way where it doesn't always align with the money. And so there's that juxtaposition that's always there. So when you are talking about visibility, and you know that the end goal is always, not just visibility, but the true connection and then following it to the money. How do you help people see that visibility is really the reason you need to start showing up for the rest of it to kind of fall into place? How do you feel about that?
Well, I think really, again, not to just keep beating the same drum here, comes
Yeah.
back to your body. It really
Yeah.
does. And witnessing yourself. And you don't need to post anything or record a podcast. For me, putting my headphones in and dancing, doing it, whatever practice, but just tuning into your own energy, witnessing your energy, loving your energy, no matter where you are.
Hmm.
That to me, that's true visibility, witnessing yourself. I think that's true power and alchemization that we think has to be external first, of like,
Yeah.
you need to post 3 times a day for 90 days in order to grow. Yes, yes, that could work, but I think you're limiting yourself, because if you are trying to fill somebody else's version of that visibility, you're not feeling the authenticity inside yourself. And I think that's what so many women, I know myself, you start to feel that maybe ick factor, or like,
Mm.
like you feel for me, it's like I feel my chest, myself just kind of crawl into a
Yeah.
little ball, is because it's like, I'm not being authentic, even though my intention is, but the way that I'm sharing this. So really, again, just taking a few minutes to, before you create, before you feel like you need to be visible, and tuning back into your body, because it's really shifting again from that girl boss, I need to do more, I need to post more or record more, to like, I'm whole with who I am right now, and I
Yeah.
get to create, and I love to create. I'm not, we all are natural creators. And I think that's the through line of this episode, and the work that I do is bridging that gap. And it's a practice. Every day is different, but those, whatever's coming up, the emotions, the energy, are actually here specifically guiding you. They're here, they can help propel you towards that growth, but also propel you towards what you're creating. And that's where it feels so authentic, what's real and what's coming up, but sharing it in an embodied way, sharing this in an empowered way, not trauma dumping or victim
Mm.
dumping, all of this stuff. How can you share and be authentic and stand in your power when the shit's hitting the fan, when you're in the middle of everything? Because I've noticed in my life, a lot of the times when a big manifestation is about to come in, things seems to all the chaos comes in
For
right
sure.
before. So
Yep.
how can we be okay with that, with being visible? And I think this keeps popping in my head as through this interview of like, what happens when you post something and you get a hater, a comment?
Mm.
How do you feel? How can you retrain your body to be like, oh, well, I'm clearly, clearly I'm doing something right, because what I'm saying is not for everybody. And, you can send them off with love. You don't have to comment, or you can comment and thank them for spreading your message and sharing, boosting the algorithm with your comment. And I think for a lot of people, it's like, well, what are they going to think? What if someone posts this? But when you're so strong in who you are and your message and your why, then none of that's going to matter. And if it does, you know that it's just realigning you, it's leading the way to more of that clarity, to more of that confidence.
Yeah. I was thinking as you were talking about how intuition is really so important, because you talked about your gut and listening to that body piece. And if you are in tune with your intuition, you're really going to find that wholeheartedly all the way through, right? So it's going to go from your sacral all the way up and through. And mind is in there too, right? How much when you are talking about your body, and I obviously your mind is part of your body, right? How much of this feeling is not just listening to that intuition, but also changing that mindset? What do you feel about changing that as well? is it one in the same, or do you feel like there's two different pieces here that we need to maybe focus on?
I think it's similar, if not one and the same. I think it's really, you change your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions. That's part of your body. We're here as these spiritual beings in a physical being.
Mm-hmm.
So what we can control are our thoughts, our emotions, and reactions. Everything else we can't control. So for me, all of those really tie into the same thing. But I really think the part that we disconnect a little bit, especially in a spiritual world, is wanting to ascend from the body and leave the body, and that the body is icky or lower than. And we can use the mind, but we have to train the mind. And I think when they work together, it's a beautiful thing. I think to tie this together, when you can bypass the monkey mind and get into the body and let go of the stories, that's where the transformation happens.
Mm-hmm.
And when you understand that your mind is here to protect you, it's here so you don't run out in the middle of traffic, so that, this ego sense of self, you realize it's like a barking dog. When the mailman comes along, it's going to bark. But then when the mailman leaves, it shakes it off and stops. That's how our mind works. That's how those triggers work. And it's a tool that we can use and not something we have to work against.
Mm. So before you actually hit play or record in your podcast, or you come on to one of these, is there any kind of ritual or any kind of thing that you do prior to that? Do you do some meditation? Do you kind of dance it out? Do you shake? I love to be able to tell people how other people do that before they hit record, because sometimes you need that expenditure of energy or centering. Right before this, I messed up a little, took a little bit of a breath work for myself and moved on. So how do you do it? How do you do it?
I would say it depends on the day. Like today, I ended up feeling a little overwhelmed, and I took a nap and then had a dance party and then did my practice. But really, the 3 steps before I do any work is I look at it from activation, alchemization, and allowing. How can I start to shake up this energy, awaken myself? How can I alchemize this energy? Energy can't be created or destroyed, but it can change states of matter. And then after that, that meditation aspect, that allowing, that listening aspect. So it depends on, everybody out there listening, what that looks like for you. But when I practice this, now it's like I move my body. And then before we sit down, I just sit down, close my eyes, and really just anchor in through my body. I just take a deep breath all the way down to my root, open up my heart, and kind of just say, either out loud, I'll set the intention, or inside my head of like, okay, spirit, God, whatever needs to come through, it's perfect what it needs to happen. Let me be this beautiful conduit for what needs to come through. I'm here, use me, kind of a thing. So I let myself work out whatever energy I need to, but then come back to, I'm here to do this work, to be the channeler, the messenger, the helper, but not from like, you need the help, but from this, I'll be this beacon, this anchor, this lighthouse of that vibration that needs to be radiated today.
So I have to ask you, are you a projector? Are you a human design projector? You're not. Oh, interesting.
I'm a generator.
Okay. Oh, fun. So I am a projector, and we are supposedly the beacon and the lighthouse. And so that's why I was like, oh, maybe that's why you're mentioning it. I love that. So tell me then how you help other people, what it is that you do and how it is that you help them.
Yeah. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, you're like, yes, I want to learn more. All comes back to the body. So I'm actually launching this week my new membership, The Portal, which is literally teaches what we just talked about. How can we heal the 3 visibility wounds, the girl boss, the imposter syndrome, the witch wound? How can we work with those, understand what those look like, transmute them so you can show up with more confidence, more clarity, and more consistency that actually works for you, and not like what we were talking about earlier, feels icky, feels forced, feels not authentic. How can we build that foundation that works for you? What I just talked about, that process that I do in the morning or before I create work, the activation, the alchemization and the allowing. And I go in depth of how you do that through each of these core principles. And then I'm creating this beautiful vault of practices and tips and semi-template stuff that works for me, but how you can actually continue to create and share with confidence. So that new membership is coming up soon. And I'm so excited to welcome beautiful creators into that. And the listeners here, I would love to have some more fellow podcasters in there too.
Yeah, yeah, I would love to. So I'll definitely share that in the show notes, of course. But I also wanted to just kind of go into your background a little bit, if we could. I mentioned earlier that you're a sacred visibility mentor, embodiment guide. Tell me what led you down that path. What got you there?
Well, how long do we have? Well, I started, in my college graduation 15 plus years ago was my first panic attack. Up until that point, I did everything right, straight A's. I did get a degree in something more artsy. I was my rebellious, photography, but I had a corporate job lined up. Everything was just painted perfect. And I'm sure people listening, a recovering perfectionist, that good girl mentality, it came like right up to my face. And I didn't realize that at the time, but it was like I created this life that wasn't me. That wasn't, it was for my family. It was for everything else. And cue the spiritual awakening, at the ripe age of 22. And I'm like, well, started asking those questions. There's got to be more to life than this. Chronic anxiety, multiple panic attacks a day, couldn't even take medication because of the side effects. I'm sure people listening here are like, yeah, the sensitivity of being that light worker, like the conventional healing path just was like, no, Loren, go this way, go the other way. And through health and wellness, eating healthier, that really helped me a lot. So I ended up becoming a health coach about over 10 years ago now, helped a lot. And then led me into a part where I was in the middle of a divorce. And that's where the part where I said, your body's not in the way, it's leading the way. And I realized, yes, I'm in the best physical shape of my life, but the emotional, spiritual, the internal stuff, I've got to take responsibility for that. Like, I still created this situation. What in me came up? So that's when I doubled down into the spiritual work, into that inner healing somatic work. And over the years have healed my body through other chronic illnesses, pre-cancer diagnoses. And each time, deeper spiritual gifts, deeper clarity of who I was and my mission came through. So over the past 15 plus years, it's really led me step by step, bit by bit to the work I do today. And through my own healing journey, I realized more of who I am, but the work that I'm here to share, and that it's ever evolving, just like you. And, my podcast used to be called Witchy Wellness Radio, which I love that name still, but it was no longer in alignment. And I think the biggest thing through my whole journey, and that other than the visibility that I want to share with everybody today, is that you got to be willing to let go of the old, especially in what you're creating, because if it no longer feels in alignment, there's a new version of you that wants to come through. There's a new version of that podcast or your business that's waiting for you, that you're actually is already more in alignment with you. So if you're feeling like, ooh, maybe something is off with your podcast, maybe it's time to take a second to have a little funeral, to have a death, and allow that new version to come through. Yeah. And I promise you, it's going to be way better than you can have ever imagined. So long story short, I think that's my journey. I try to summarize as much as possible.
And I just love to just mention that everyone's journey is unique. And I love that you've shared yours. And I feel like the path has led you on the way that you're supposed to be. So I applaud you and give you blessings for that. So thank you. I also just want to mention to everybody, again, I mentioned earlier that it's a top 2 podcast, the Sovereign Self Show. Since this is a show about podcasting, if you had any advice for any of those women out there that have their own show, what would you say to get to the 2% or just to get started?
Mm-hmm. I would say ignore the numbers at first. Really, don't let that dictate you. The consistency, commit to it. Whether it's 2 podcasts a month, whatever, just commit to it. And you're going to learn, you're going to evolve. It's part of the process. And that, for me, that's the biggest lesson, that through line of showing up consistently. It might change what that consistency looks like, but that has helped the most over past 8+ years of podcasting. What other advice? Yeah, it's going to get better. Your first episode's going to be crap. Okay, like go back and listen to my first one. Like it took me probably close to 2 hours to record like an intro podcast with just me talking for like 10 minutes, audio only. Like it's going to feel weird at first listening to your voice. Or maybe it won't, but just know that where you start and where you'll be 1 month, 2 months, 2 years from now, it's going to be completely different, but it takes starting. And if you feel like something's coming up, you're feeling some type of visibility wound, go back to your body, have a conversation with it. Like go into that part of your body that feels like icky or scared or disappointed and work with that energy. And then another 3D practical thing is like the one thing that's really helped is reviews. Asking people to review your podcast, the Apple reviews, the Spotify reviews, that's huge. And I would say the last thing is collaboration. So finding people that have similar audiences that you could do a podcast swap with maybe, but that co-creation aspect really helps grow your podcast. But not only that, you meet so many cool people and friendships and partnerships. And I think that's what this all is about, is that co-creation aspect. It's not just you doing all the work. It's helps spreading that light through your work and through helping other people's shows as well.
I agree with that 100%. And I will also say that my very first episode was called The Hardest Episode You'll Ever Make, because it is. And then I think the second hardest episode you'll make is that first interview that you have with the people, right? Yeah. That's the one you're like, so you get very scared about that. But it's all going to work out fine. And if you have some editing, you're good. You're golden. It's all good. So, all right, Loren, I have absolutely loved our conversation today. Is there any wisdom that you'd like to impart on the audience today? I'm going to definitely put your information about the portal and that in there, but if there's anything else that you would love, could you share?
I would say it's okay to slow down. It's okay to be present, because actually the slower that we can move, the more present we are in our bodies, the faster the manifestations are going to come. The more you're going to love your life, the more that prosperity and pleasure are going to come in, the more you're in your feminine energy. And I think slow is smooth and smooth is fast is a mantra we say in our household. And I think that really holds true. And I think everybody listening, you don't need to rush to your 50th episode if you're just getting started. Start with that first one and then go from there. One step at a time.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Podcasting for Spiritual Women. If you would like more strategy and tips and some tricks on how to make your podcast better, I recommend that you join my newsletter list. You can find that at kpcreativemedia.com/newsletter. Until next time.